growing up, I had a very high standard put on me because my dad was the top tier basketball player. He was the MVP of his high school. He was the big Lays man. Everybody loved my dad in high school, and this is a story of why I felt so insecure growing up because of the impact my dad made in society and how I ended up autistic. My dad got with my mom, and she was a cheerleader, and my dad was literally varsity of the basketball team, even coached basketball when he's older, and then he has a son who's one-dimensional, who does nothing but watches anime when he's literally the most social guy. So here's how it happened. Everybody's wondering, why'd you take down my Uncle Jiraiya video? It's because my Uncle Jiraiya, metaphorically, when I say Jiraiya, I mean the positions they were in my life. Jiraiya was my crazy uncle, and I have a crazy older brother who was Itachi. So when I say, oh, my father Minato, oh, my older brother Itachi, those are just metaphors of what there would be like in the Naruto universe. My dad was definitely Minato Namikaze because of how good he was at basketball. A lot of similarities to him and me. He left me when I was young due to a victim of circumstances because him and my mom got a divorce when I was very, very young. He was so fucking talented and he was so multidimensional. I don't know how his kid was a virgin when he graduated high school. And it pissed me off. But that is what Uncle Jiraiya used against me. My Uncle Jiraiya kept on shoving shit like Tyler Perry down my throat, saying that he's nothing but a deadbeat dad. He literally has multiple kids he doesn't care for. And the sad truth about that is, I stated in a video before, he only said that because my dad gets more women than him. It had nothing to do with him being a deadbeat. That's just the laws of nature. When I went to the mental hospital and I asked a grown black woman what my dad was doing, what she told me was, don't hate the player, hate the game. Now, before you say that, oh, that's coming from someone in the mental hospital, that's a normal person that got a degree that's saying that. So I had a lot of reasons to be insecure when I was in high school. My dad was short, stocky, and really, really charismatic. He was really, really funny. He was everything I wasn't when I was growing up. He had manners, he had everything. My dad was the best jack of all trades. And the reason why I had to make this video is because my dad was such a big role model for me growing up. He's the one who taught me nothing but Jet Li movies. He showed me so many different perspectives to just Jet Li alone about how this big guy or a mohawk was trying to fight Jet Li with a crowbar, and how Jet Li still wanted to fight, but another Asian guy drove him to the side. He's told him, like, how dare you let that white person get ahead of you? How dare you even let him get close to being you? You only won because you are Japanese. If you were fighting me, you'd be dead within an instant. My dad really showed me that dad's height was nothing. He can pull a woman like it was nothing. Every time we got separated for a couple of years, I saw my dad with a new chick. And it was literally like, my dad was Krillin, and every single white woman he would pull was 18. It was so funny. He was everything my uncle wasn't, and it stood out tremendously that he had so much skill, but he couldn't stay around. A lot of things that Minato and him have in common was the fact that he was literally the most skilled, literally one of the most skilled. Fighting, basketball. Arturo's parents were Pakistani and white, and so I started fucking with Arturo. I tried telling him that his uncle isn't Pakistani, that his uncle is black. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, he pulled a beautiful white woman. No, seriously, but Minato was really, really strong. He gave me a butt whooping when I needed to. There was this time where I was watching Road to El Dorado, and they were playing with swords and shit like that. They're like, on guard, on guard. And my dad was trying to teach me a lesson, and there's literally a basket full of belts, and he's whooping my ass. And so he stops whooping my ass for a second. I go grab one of those belts in the basket, and so I look at my dad, and I'm all like, on guard. And then he starts whooping my ass even more. Like, what the fuck is this on guard? My dad was a big monumental figure. I was wondering, why am I not getting women like my dad was in high school? And I look twice as good as him. My dad, literally, since my mom is white, he doesn't have the green eyes like me. But for everyone wondering out there who thinks that personality doesn't matter when it comes to dating, when it comes to life, oh yeah, it outstandingly matters, because if personality didn't matter, then my dad wouldn't have had a higher body count. My dad was on and off in my life, but he was there when I learned that he couldn't be there when I needed him the most. Is literally disappointing me, but I understood once I got older, once I got a couple of children, that life doesn't plan out how you want it to, and being a victim of circumstances is different from being a deadbeat dad. I learned that the hard way by having incredible charisma, having no resources. I stopped blaming my dad for everything. I started taking my dad for what he was, and that is when I learned how to be a true fucking man. Where money doesn't matter. It's all about how you carry yourself, how you get along with people, and how are you willing to work with people. My dad, when he played basketball, people didn't believe that he was the captain of the basketball team because my dad's so short. He's currently shorter than me right now, but one thing they could not do was run up on my dad in basketball. He was so fucking fast, just like Minato Namikaze. When he dribbled, nobody can catch him. Literally, he was out of their reach. In between their arms, out, 3-point shot. And that's another thing that made me feel insecure in high school. I was an anime nerd who had no interest in sports at all, but my brothers were varsity champions, they were top tier athletes, and they were everything that I weren't. Yeah, that's why I compare myself so much to Itachi. That's why I compare myself so much to Minato. That's why, because I relate to so much in that anime. But literally, Father Minato sealed the 9 tails within me by giving me the gift of an incredible charisma that I can tap into when I truly need it, but I couldn't tap into it at will. Metaphorically speaking, I still had bits and pieces of my dad's swagger throughout my whole life and through high school, but if I can't control it, what's the point? Yeah, I may be getting some Tuesday signals by girls here and there, but if I can't take control of the situation, if I can't get in contact, if I can't bring it home, what's the whole point? And that's what my main problem was. I had bits and pieces, but when is it gonna become consistent? And I learned on my own that I had the whole time. It is in my DNA, but I was stuck in a white people dominant territory where me being myself was not gonna work. When my dad actually taught me how to be white, contrary to what you believe, contrary to like him being a player, he taught me how to be white because whenever he formatted his sentences, he sounded white. But whenever it came down to it, he was in the car and he was trying to teach me a lesson, but he stopped the lesson midway. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Tupac's on." There's times in my life where my dad couldn't be there for me. And if you remember that one scene when Naruto was about to be defeated by Pain, and he tries to tell Naruto, "I'm sorry, I've been neglecting of you for so long," and what does Naruto do? He doesn't kiss and make up. No, he stabs him in the fucking gut. My dad seeing me go through the single mother household phases of me being really bad, being suicidal over a woman when he was the most popular guy at school. Now that scene let me know that if it came down to it, my dad would take that hit for me because he realized he done wrong. See it through his face, and that's how he felt throughout the whole high school. But because he was divorced from my mom, because I didn't have anyone, is why I can never have the full on experience of him being my father on paper, but he's always gonna be my father in my heart. And I don't give a fuck what people say about deadbeat dads. I'm like, no, it's not that fucking simple. It's way more fucking complex than that. And that's why I took down my Uncle Jiraiya video, because he kept on shoving this deadbeat dad bullshit down my throat, and it didn't work because I knew it was better. I'm like, how the fuck can you say my dad's a deadbeat when every single time I hang out with him, we're having a good time? He's like, oh, that gets in the way of irresponsibility. I'm like, no. I have a couple of children. Are you gonna call me a deadbeat because they all wanted to fuck me and they were freaky? And you gotta blame me on not being responsible when a bunch of girls live in the moment like that? When literally that's how women function? Get the fuck out. But in all actuality, my dad taught me so much from a distance, because he made me think about why is it in my blood, but I'm not able to bring it out. Why am I not able to bring out what is in my DNA? It's because I had brainwashing from Jiraiya. It's because I had brainwashing from everyone else is wrong. No, it's right. I'm going about it the wrong way. When I was in high school, Mr. Pleasure, if you go back to my favorite teacher video, was my dad's coach assistant, and he was his arch rival. Mr. Pleasure had a son who rapped, and I wanted to rap it, so he kept on referencing my dad every single time. You know, something came up. He's like, you know, me and your dad had a lot of debates, and Mr. Pleasure can even do the spin move when you roll the basketball on one hand and you rolls all the way down your chest and you release it to the other. Yeah, Mr. Pleasure can do that move. Minato was so good, so courageous, and literally taught me everything I need to know. I didn't think he taught me at first, but the situations I was put in because he wasn't there just made me think about the facial expression he would make at the time. And what does that facial expression mean? And now I get what it means. I get what everything fucking means. You know what? My dad literally just inspire me to be better, but I can never think of him at front facing because of how much I accomplished in my own life. Yeah, my dad may have not have gotten me into sports, but I've excelled at what I've worked hard for. Besides sports, I actually was dominant at sports when I was wrestling back when I was in high school. Well, I got medals, but guess what? I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I was winning at something I didn't care about because my brothers kept on shoving it down my throat. But here's something I truly felt good at. You know, one thing that he taught me where it comes to playing sports, subconsciously, I'm talking about the dad in general, is that when you grow up and you want to make a name for yourself, what I did was I surpassed my older brothers when it came to everything, because they were in sports when they were younger all throughout high school, but they didn't make it to the NBA. Me, I went regional and I became MVP at multiple conventions at what I trained hard for ever since I was a little kid. I basically won Tekkaichi tournaments, and I was the only one who didn't play sports out of my 3 brothers out of his 4 kids, and I'm the only one who made it. My dad and my Uncle Jiraiya used to face off all the time. He used to tell me shit to literally say in front of my dad, and my dad would call it out instantly. And you know what? The day I figured out, I'm like, is my dad a deadbeat? Is my dad this and that? You know what made me confirm that my dad isn't, and why he is very mature, and why he proved my uncle wrong where it came down to it, is when he came to my house knowing he shouldn't have been there to come check on me, and my uncle tried to run up on him saying, you can't go inside. And my dad literally just stood up to him like, I don't need to go inside. And if you read the street code, that means I just need to see my son. I just need to see my son. That is something that me with the mentality I have now would have done. So now I understand completely, after becoming a grown-ass man, after going through the stages that my dad went through, that it's not all that you think it is. Some people are a victim of circumstances, and sometimes you have to work with that, and sometimes you can't blame the stereotype on a complex situation, and that's what I love about my dad. You're going to see more videos spread throughout, but you're going to see even more profile videos coming up. But this is something I've been saying for a while, and this is my dad, my father, Minato Namikaze.